What's up, Saints and Aints? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. This episode, I'm celebrating the 20th anniversary of Common's album B, as well as reviewing Trainspotting, the new album from Streetz and Conductor William. I'm also sharing my favorite tracks from Jjackpot, aka Remy LeBeau's new project, King's Casino. On the makeup today, I'm using Juvia's Place Culture 2 palette for a bold summer look. So without further ado, Saints and Aints, let's jump into it. I'm gonna put some concealer on my lids just to kind of bring everything, make everything one color here. I'm going to use the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, and this is in the shade Chocolat, and just put this on the eye. So I have now put concealer on my lids and in this eye space here, and I also set it with a little bit of translucent powder. That way it doesn't get the creasing and slip sliding over my face. So now I'm going to go in here with the shade Queen Vibes and put that all here on the transitional space. So Common's album B turned 20 this May, May 24th to be exact. Again, these album birthdays, you making me feel so old because I cannot believe it's been 20 years since that album came out. This was his 6th studio album, and in my opinion, it is his best. Like Water for Chocolate is a very close second. B was primarily produced by, yes, Kanye West. So we'll get that out of the way right now, with additional production by J Dilla. And this album got a lot of love when it came out because it was post Electric Circus, and this is when the public, you know, kind of thought he lost his edge. Now, when I say edge, I never thought of Common of like a gangster rapper, but when I say edge, you know, he was this infamous crocheted pants or whatever, and so, you know, a lot of people thought he had kind of lost it. Was I a fan of Electric Circus? Nah, not really. But I do understand that artists, you know, want to experiment with their sound. They want to try something else. I think at one point, I could be misquoting him, but I think Common even addressed the issue of like, I can make the conscious, like the hearts that y'all want, but y'all not buying it. So I'm gonna try something else, which I don't fault him for that. Now, I love the album B for really sentimental reasons. This album dropped at like a really pivotal time in my life. It was summertime. I had just moved back into my parents' house, and I remember going to a friend's house. We were getting ready to go out, and her boyfriend was from Chicago, and he was like, oh, you know, what you know about Common, or have you heard his new album? Now, of course, you know, I was already feeling away. Not that I hated Electric Circus, but I was already kind of like, So I was like, yeah, what is it? And he proceeded to play B, the intro song. And that came in with that bass and then the electric piano. And then finally the beat drops. And the best way to describe it is just like freedom. I love how that beat comes in and you got the violins. And it's even felt in the verse. And he starts it off. He says, I want to be as free as the spirits of those who left. I'm talking Malcolm, Coltrane, my man, Yusef. So this intro really set the tone lyrically and production wise for like what was to come on this album. All right, and now I'm gonna take the shade Maside and put that on top of my lid. Right. And then of course, B wraps up and the album goes right into the song The Corner. And I remember when this single dropped because there was so much excitement, because this song was really his way of letting his audience know that he had returned back to the style of rap that his audience knows him for. And of course, Kanye was on the production for this song, and you know, he was cooking with the beats. I know what he turned into, but for this particular time, like he really was cooking production wise on this. I really like the line, The Corner, we're struggling, greed fight. We write songs about wrong cause it's hard to see right. Look to the sky, hope that we will see light. Reality's a bitch, and I heard that she bites the corner. Just perfect bars. One of my favorite verses on this song. I'm gonna blend this in using that same shade Queen Vibes. So Go was the second single off this album, I believe. And this is another one that got a lot of love on my playlist back in the day. Now, if you've been watching this podcast for any length of time, you know that storytelling is my favorite element of songwriting, and we get it on this song with a tale of, you know, I'm just gonna say sexually fluid woman who he is entangled with, so to speak. And we also get these same storytelling elements on Faithful, Testify, and It's Your World. And so starting with Faithful, this song tells like different stories about being faithful. First example is like Common, you know, just wondering to himself if God was a woman, and if she is, would he have the ability to stay faithful to her? And the second verse is about a man who is struggling with being faithful to his girlfriend, wife, I don't know, even going so far as to contemplate sleeping with her best friend. And in this verse, you know, the man makes excuses for his cheating, but you know, by the end of the song, he has made a decision to carry his ass home and work on his relationship. So I thought this was, again, great storytelling, a little motivational shit for you to, you know, do the right thing. So, you know, it's all good. So now I'm going to put some shimmer on top of this. I don't know, did this come out orange? It doesn't feel orange enough, but we're going to see if this shimmer kicks it up. This is from the Danessa Myricks Lightwork 6 palette. This is the shade Higher. It's like an orange multi-chrome. I'm gonna use this brush here. Usually spray it first with a little bit of my MAC Fix Plus Prep and Prime, just to dampen the brush. I feel it picks stuff up a lot easier that way. Just tap it. So, okay, Faithful rolls right into Testify, which is another single that, you know, went up on this album. Now, remember, this video even had Taraji P. Henson in it. This is one of those videos that I love because it matches the song perfectly. And on Testify, he's telling the story of a woman who's in a relationship with a drug dealer, and from the perspective of being in court and having to testify on his behalf. And he's ultimately found guilty, and it's revealed through the song that basically, no, she is the plug, not him. And getting this revelation had the same reaction as like finding out who it was sleeping in Cisco's bed. It was a shocker. Now to prime my skin, I'm going to use the NYX face glue. I love this because it is a nice little sticky primer. All right, and we're gonna talk some more about this album. Now, Shy City is one of those songs where you could tell that Common had something to prove, because this was really the song to remind us all, like, don't get it twisted, I can still rap. And I really love the line, inspired by Black Muslims and Christians, pushing cutlasses, dope, and other traditions. I just thought that was cool, using the analogy with the car, the cutlass, if y'all know what that was, cutlass. So pushing a whip, pushing dope, and pushing traditions on people, or pushing traditions. I thought that was a really fly line. And I also like, in the middle of chaos and gunfire, so many raps about rims, I'm surprised niggas ain't become tires. This line is like wildly accurate, because I remember during this particular time period, everything was about excess, champagne, platinum jewelry, big ass Escalades with spinning rims. Like, the bigger your rims, the better. And like I said, them spinning like took us to like another level. I ain't got nothing against it. I'm happy I was able to see those times, but you know, it was what it was. After a while, it started to run thin, and this verse really reflects that. All right, so on top of my primer, I also like to use the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder in the shade 9.5, just in areas where I get oily. When in the summertime, you're gonna need this on your team because it absorbs oil, sweat too. I was at a makeup show and they said 1 gram of Upsolite, which is the oil absorbing ingredient, and blurring balm powder, soaks up like a tennis court of water, and it held me down all last summer. So I just usually go in the places I'm the oiliest at. But anyway, Shy City goes right into the song The Food, which is a live recording from the Chappelle Show, which was extremely popular around this time. I can't remember if this song preceded the first single, but I do remember losing my mind seeing him, young Kanye West with his backpack, on the Chappelle Show performing this. They were like in a little kitchen setting. I still remember this video. I'm sure it's on one of the episodes if you go look it up. But I remember losing my mind seeing them perform this. I loved the beat. I thought the hook was really catchy, and you know, Common was just rapping his ass off. Again, it's because he had so much to prove, and I thought that this was great strategy to him going on the Chappelle Show. Welcoming himself or reintroducing himself back to his audience and making new fans like along the way. Now, They Say is also another one of my favorites on this album. John Legend is on here for the hook, and between him, Common's verse, and Kanye's production, this song is a chef's Kiss. Favorite line off of here is, the richest man ain't necessarily the nigga with dough. They say you went wild. Yeah, that's what they say. My niggas couldn't tell it was me like Jamie and Ray. And I'm telling y'all, he had something to prove on this album. And too, I like that little tidbit because at this time, I'm not saying rap hasn't always had like some element of consumerism to it, but around this time, it was about excess, champagne, big ass cars, rims, platinum jewelry. And sometimes we need a little balance, a little bringing us back to earth and reminding us sometimes there's other things in life that make you rich that are not tied to money. And enjoying getting to a bag, but let's not lose sight of like principle and shit. Another line that I really like on They Say is, they say my life is comparable to Christ, the way I sacrificed and resurrected it twice. They say the crocheted pants and the sweater was whack. Heard the corner, now they say that nigga's back. So you see what I'm saying? The corner was to wake us up. All right, now I'm going to apply the Juvia's Place bronzer. This is in the shade Cocoa. Okay, and then I'm learning to not to brush. Pat this in. The album wraps up with the song It's Your World. There's part 1 and part 2. And this song is another one that I mentioned had the element of storytelling. This song, it's about, you know, two people. First being himself, as he rhymes about his life growing up in Chicago, going to school in Baton Rouge, coming back to the hood after Baton Rouge didn't work out. And then the second verse is about a young lady who had dreams of singing, becoming a star and all that. And due to abuse, it led her to, you know, the oldest profession in the book. And both of these stories, you know, end with a very sad line that these people have never seen California. And I find the message in that is because the name of the song is It's Your World. And sometimes your world is only so big as like where you are. Because sometimes getting out of your little world and seeing something else will like open you up. Like you'll have epiphanies of sorts sometimes that like, oh, there's more to life than just this. So this is one of my favorites on this album. And the song rolls over, I think this is part 2, into, you know, children saying what it is that they want to be when they grow up. We get some wise words from Pops, who always has some uplifting words for us at the end of Common's album. God rest his soul, he has passed on. He gives us some words of wisdom, you know, to just be yourself and be all of these things that you may embody. Just a nice uplifting message for the end of the album. I will go on record, this is just, you know, one woman's opinion. I will go on record, you know, after listening to this, because I haven't listened to B in its entirety in a long time, that this album is absolutely a classic. It still hits the same way, the same way it did the first time I listened to it. My favorite songs are still my favorite. It still elicits the same emotions 20 years later. And I tell y'all, that is a true test of a classic, not something that just came out 3 days ago. Are you gonna love it like this in 20 years? And for Common's album B, that does it passes the test for me. So the album is tagged down in the description box if you haven't heard it. If you have, what is one of your favorite songs from B? Let me know in the comments. So I color corrected off camera. I used the Danessa Myricks Beauty. This is the waterproof cream palette, the Essentials palette, the shade number 4. I believe it's discontinued. I got this at Makeup Show in my little goodie bag, but I've been loving it for color correcting. On the blush, I'm going to use the Juvia's Place cream blush in the shade Cheeky Cherry, and it's kind of pigmented, so I'm gonna work it into my brush before I put it onto my skin. So let's shift gears and talk about some new music, starting with Rome Streetz and Conductor Williams' highly anticipated project Trainspotting. I have been looking forward to this album dropping since the pictures of them working together first emerged last year. And if y'all also remember, I said too in my Works Well with Others episode that I really wanted to see a Rome Streetz and Conductor Williams project after I heard Reversible, because I was like, a whole tape of this would like really eat. And so this album has certainly been on my watch list. Let's jump into a couple of my favorites from off of this album. I'm going to go in and highlight using the NARS. This is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and this is in the shade Amande. All right, so this album starts off strong with one of my favorite songs on here, Andre Agassi. And I like the line, light up your favorite, turn them into a pack of rapper weed. On the court, I serve niggas like Andre Agassi. While I go back and forth on the net, they can't match the steez. I rock them like the gold on my neck, they all trash to me. My type of shit talking and carrying on. Blood and Boogers is another one of my favorites, and it's a perfect example of the reason why I wanted a Rome Streetz and Conductor project. This beat is perfect for Rome. He jumps right on the track and just starts fucking shit up. And the beat for Connie's Revenge is just nasty. There are so many little nuances to it, and I love how it flips, you know, back and forth. I love Conductor's production because, you know, it's never perfect. It always has these little imperfections in the beat, the warbling. I love it. And MASH is a good example of that. And I like Rome on these because I feel like when you are rapping over beats that have distortion, there's a skill to rhyming around these beats without sounding like it's hurting you, to like you're in a struggle. And there's songs I've heard where I've seen people rhyme with beats that are not so conventional and it sounds like they're really having a hard time with it. But yeah, Rome just, you know, floats around those imperfections and bends I call like bending the words around those things, and I mean it just sounds effortless. Now I love Connie's Revenge. I love that opening line, I'm a mastermind slime, make currency off my thoughts, weirdos will peace guide you to death and still be eating pork. Child, he ain't never lied. You ever see a man tell you he don't eat pork and then proceed to eat a fucking glizzy? No Hebrew national. Somebody lying. I also love the beat on Electric Slide. It's one of the first things that drew me in, and this is one of those beats again where you got to know how to rap around the imperfections, which I just absolutely love. And this is the Danessa Myrick Skin Tint. I'm just going to put this everywhere I don't have product. This is in the shade 14. This is one of my staples. I don't really wear foundation because I cannot find my shade, so this is what it's gonna be, skin tint till I can't no more. Let's talk about one of the most thought-provoking songs on this album, and that is Rule 4080. And if we are not familiar yet with what Rule 4080 is, it's, as Q-Tip said, record company people are shady. And that's really the basis of this song. And I love this message because ever since Kanye West put his contract on Twitter, I am baffled by record deals and like why anyone, and I'm not talking about a distribution deal, I'm talking about a standard major label record deal. I was truly baffled on why anyone would willingly sign up for that, because it just doesn't make sense. Rome makes a number of very good points on this song, and one of them that I really want to drive home is that like working for free, working for exposure is like the biggest trap. There is no guarantee on that return. There is no guarantee that that exposure is going to bring you the dollars. Do not fall for that myth or be so thirsty to have the appearance of being on that you sign your life away. And another good point I hear in this song is about negotiating. Make sure you're really like negotiating what you're worth, and don't let anyone bully you into bringing your number down. Like Rome said, you're the talent. They came to you. It's obvious. Yeah, and that goes for job interviews, anything. You're the talent. The people came to you. They sought you out. They tracked you down. So don't be afraid to ask for what you want because you're scared that your opportunity will flee from you. And then again, do you want the opportunity if you can't get the number that you want? So I like this song. I'm always pro like get your shit. So this is one I absolutely love. Trainspotting is out now on all streaming platforms and is also tagged in the description box. Let me know if you've heard the album and what some of your favorite songs are down in the comments. All right, now I'm gonna start the process of setting all my creams, starting with my under eye. I'm using the Pat McGrath Sublime Under Eye Powder in the shade Dark. So we also have new music from Jjackpot, aka Remy LeBeau, and he just dropped his new project, King's Casino. And I want to briefly just run through some of my favorites on this album. So first off, one of the first songs that I like from off of here is the single 25 Red, which is really the song that brought his music to my attention. Remy has a very unique voice, and it's one of the first things that I picked up on. If y'all know me, I'm either a production first or voice first type of person. And of course, like I said, the next thing I picked up was the production for this. It had a really dark, like gritty, grimy sound, my type of carrying on. And this is a one producer album produced by Mano Citera. I don't know how I feel about one producer albums. It gives a cohesive sound, and you do get that on this project. All right, now I'm going to set my cream blush using the NARS Exhibit A blush. This is a red. All right, so I like this next song that's playing now, and this is called All In, and I specifically like the line, what you know about getting buzzed into the jewelry store and getting buzzed out wearing some shit that they would kill you for. If you're broken, you smoke it. What would you deal it for? They're saying I'll make it. I see it coming like a Ouija board. So yeah, that's probably my favorite line on this album. I also like the song Royal Flush featuring Ross Skrilla and Benny Watts. And the beat for Royal Flush is insane, but I also like the line on here. I'm Leonardo, I can paint you in the Monte Carlo. I train them hitters, you can call me Customato. I like the wordplay. I can paint you in the Monte Carlo. We all know what that means. I train them hitters. You can call me Customato, who was Mike Tyson's trainer. And we ain't talking about boxing. So yeah, I like that verse. Real nice. I'm gonna set my powder bronzer using the Juvia's Place powder in the shade Deep. So overall, King's Casino is a solid project that I know I'm definitely going to have in rotation this summer. Also look forward to having Remy on the Behind the Beat segment this week. We're going to talk more about this album and the new single that he dropped. So don't forget to tune in to that. King's Casino is out now on all streaming platforms. I have it tagged in the description box. If you've heard it, let me know in the comments, what are your favorite tracks? All right, so I added a little brown eyeliner. This is the Makeup Forever Artist Pencil. That has changed my life. I always feel like a naked mole rat without lining my eyes, but then I'm like, oh, the black is too harsh. Get a brown pencil, especially if you was born in the late 1900s. Just get a brown pencil. It's a lot less harsh. See, I like it. Just a small difference. Just want it to look like it has some kind of liner under there, but not look so freaking heavy. Now it is time for my favorite part of my makeup routine, the lip combo. Today we are going to do a gloss and lipstick. But first for liner, I'm going to use the MAC lip pencil, and this is in the shade Chestnut, every black girl's favorite. All right, now I'm going in with the shade Cream in Your Coffee by MAC. It's a nice little brownish pink shade, one of my favorites. And I just recently learned you're not supposed to slide the lipstick across, you're supposed to press it in. Who knew? All right, now that I have that good base down, I want a little shine, so I'm gonna use the Morphe Drip Glass Drenched. This is in the shade Deep Brick here. All right, so now y'all know I like a glossy lip line. I'm going to go in with the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Glaze. This is in the shade Clear. I saw that this was sold out, so I'm about to start going easy on this, just to give it a shiny line. You don't have to do this step, but I just like it. All right, last step. Just gonna clean this up using just a smidge of the concealer. Just a smidge, just like that. All right, Saints and Aints, this is the final look. I am very happy with how everything turned out. This was the orange that I have been going for, the kind of fire look. So I'm impressed. All music and makeup that was discussed today is tagged in the description box. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates in music and makeup. Don't forget to check out my segment Behind the Beat this week, where I'll be talking to Remy LeBeau. That is my time, Saints and Aints. Till next time, love you, bye.